Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So we're reading from the 5th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 18. The text is number 12. Yasyasti asti bhakti bhagavati akinchana sarvai gunai tatra samasate suraha harau abhaktasya kuta matguna manratena asti davata bahi yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana savai gunas tatra samastate sura harava bhaktasya kato mahaguna mata manoratena sati dhavato bahi yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana savai gunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahaguna manoratena sati dhavato bahi. Vaishnavas? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchana savai gunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya mahaguna manoratena sati dhavato bahi yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana samasate sura samasate sura bhaktasya kuto mahaguna harava bhaktasya kuto mahaguna madoratena sati dhavato bahi. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana sarai nastatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahaguna madoratena sato bhagavato mahi. Vaishnavis? Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana savai gunas tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahaguna madoratena sati bhagavato mahi. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati kinchana savai gunas tatra samasate sura Yasya, of whom, asti, there is, bhakti, devotional service, Bhagavati, to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, akinchana, without any motive, savai, with all, gunai, good qualities, tatra, there, in that person, samasate, reside, sura, all the demigods, haral, unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, abhaktasya, of a person who is not devoted, kuta, where, mahat guna, good qualities, manoratena, by mental speculation, asati, in the temporary material world, davata, who is running, bahi, outside. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. All the demigods and their exalted qualities, such as religion, knowledge, and renunciation, become manifested in the body of one who has developed unalloyed devotion for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva. On the other hand, a person devoid of devotional service and engaged in material activities has no good qualities. Even if he is adept at the practice of mystic yoga or the honest endeavor of maintaining his family and relatives, he must be driven by his own mental speculations and must engage in the service of the Lord's external energy. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? Purport. As explained in the next verse, Krishna is the original source of all living entities. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 15:7, whereas Krishna says, Maya vangso jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatana manakshashtrani indriyani prakriti stani karshati. The living entities in this conditioned world are my eternal fragmental parts. Due to conditioned life, they are struggling very hard with the six senses, which include the mind. All living entities are part and parcel of Krishna, and therefore, when they revive their original Krishna consciousness, they possess all the good qualities of Krishna in small quantity. When one engages himself in the 9 processes of devotional service, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Padasevanam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam, one's heart becomes purified, and he immediately understands his relationship with Krishna. He then revives his original quality of Krishna consciousness. In the Adi Lila of Chaitanya Charitamrita, chapter 8, there is a description of some of the qualities of devotees. For example, Sri Pandita Haridas is described as being very well behaved, tolerant, peaceful, magnanimous, and grave. In addition, he spoke very sweetly. His endeavors were very pleasing, and he was always patient. He respected everyone. He always worked for everyone's benefit. His mind was free of duplicity, and he was completely devoid of all malicious activities. These are all originally qualities of Krishna. And when one becomes a devotee, they automatically become manifest. Sri Krishnadas Kaviraj, the author of Chaitanya Charitamrita, says that all good qualities become manifested in the body of a Vaishnava, and that only by the presence of these good qualities can one distinguish a Vaishnava from a non-Vaishnava. Krishnadas Kaviraj lists the following 26 good qualities of a Vaishnava. 1. He is very kind to everyone. 2. He does not make anyone his enemy. 3. He is truthful. 4. He is equal to everyone. 5. No one can find any fault in him. 6, he is magnanimous. 7, he is mild. 8, he is always clean. 9, he is without possessions. 10, he works for everyone's benefit. 11, he is very peaceful. 12, he is always surrendered to Krishna. 13, he has no material desires. 14, he is very meek. 15, he is steady. 16, he controls his senses. 17, he does not eat more than required. 18, he is not influenced by the Lord's illusory energy. 19, he offers respect to everyone. 20, he does not desire any respect for himself. 21, he is very grave. 22, he is merciful. 23, he is friendly. 24, he is poetic. 25, he is expert. And 26, he is silent. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharane Nirvishesha Shunyavari Paschachadesitarane Om Ganat Mirandasya Ganangana Shavakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangam Langayate Garim Yatkripa Tamaham Bande Shri Guru Dinatanam Durgame Patimandasya Sakalat Pada Gatir Mahu Svakripa Yastidanena Sata Shantavalambanam. My path is very difficult. I am blind and my feet are slipping again and again. Therefore, may the saints grant me their mercy by giving me the stick of their mercy as my support. Hare Krishna. So this is a very famous verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Prabhupada used this verse many, many times. Starting as early as 1966, he used this verse again and again to basically make two different points. One point to show how the good qualities of a devotee arise in a person who engages in devotional service. And the other to show how a person who is not a devotee of Krishna has no good qualities. And I remember way back when I heard this verse, for this idea, this concept for the first time that's expressed in this verse, that someone who's not a devotee had no good qualities. And that was a very hard thing to accept. So I'd like to look at this verse and the contents of this verse in three different ways, or through three different lenses. The first lens would be the idea that by practicing devotional service, one becomes a pure devotee. And the question is how fast one becomes the pure devotee, or how quickly these qualities become manifest in one who practices devotional service. And Srila Prabhupada, he uses this word, pure devotional service, in many different ways. Generally, two different ways specifically. One, in terms of the achievement of what we know as pure devotional service, prema bhakti. That one achieves prema bhakti, or the highest loving service to the Supreme Lord with no ulterior motive, where one is simply absorbed in rendering service to Krishna and seeing that Krishna's happiness is the topmost thing in that devotee's life. And the example is always given as the gopis of Vrindavan. That their love for Krishna was so astronomically focused that they didn't care about anything, even going to hell. They were willing to go to hell if Krishna would be comfortable, if Krishna would specifically not have a headache. So that's one level, where one way that Srila Prabhupada uses the term pure devotional service. But another way he uses the word pure devotional service is in terms of the process of engaging in devotional service. So one, you look at prayojana, the ultimate goal of engaging in pure devotional service, and the other, abhidheya, or the way to get to that prayojana, the way to get to that ultimate conclusion. That's also was considered by Srila Prabhupada to be pure devotional service. And he encouraged us from the very beginning very much by saying to us that if we engaged in pure devotional service, then we would manifest these qualities immediately, these qualities of a devotee. And of course, as we read these qualities listed here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in this place, and in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and in the Bhagavad Gita several times, there are many qualities that are listed here that we think, well, it's going to be a few lifetimes before I have those qualities. And I look for those qualities maybe in myself, and I don't see them, and that can be discouraging. It can seem like forever, that it's going to take forever for those qualities to manifest. But Srila Prabhupada was always encouraging us that actually, just by engaging in the process of devotional service, those qualities become manifest. We don't have to take a landmark seminar or engage in some kind of external method to develop these qualities individually, but they are ours because we are part and parcel of Krishna. And because we're part and parcel of Krishna, even small part of Krishna, because we're part and parcel of Krishna, these qualities are us. They are the qualities that we have. And as we become uncovered, manifest as spiritual beings, as devotees of the Lord, as servants of the Lord, these qualities become apparent in us. Now, from the position of a conditioned soul, it's very difficult to manifest these qualities, but it's also very difficult to see these qualities. We look for these qualities in terms of material characteristics, and we try to understand them as compared to persons in the material world. And at the same time, Srila Prabhupada says no one in the material world has any good qualities. So how do we understand? Yesterday, one person was saying that we should be nice to each other. Just take that quality of being nice to each other, or having no enemy. Seeing for the welfare of everybody. What does that mean? Seeing to the welfare of everybody, if we look at it materially, we think, well, we should make sure that there are no starving people and everybody has good medical care and so many different things we could list. And those things are all very nice, they're very important, but they're not the most important thing. Because the living entity is actually starving in another way. He's starving for the opportunity to know Krishna, to realize his natural constitutional position as a servant of Krishna. And so many other people can engage in so many different activities to try and alleviate the difficulty of the material world. But in fact, we, as empowered by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, and our acharyas, have the formula by which we can offer them true happiness. So Srila Prabhupada, he wanted us to, from the very beginning, understand these qualities and their manifestation through the lens of pure devotional service. And so he told us from the very beginning that if we engage in the process as he gave it to us, which he began with something as simple, or maybe as complicated, as practicing the 4 regulative principles, and chanting our 16 rounds. So now it's become a little bit more tangible, this concept of pure devotional service. Because when we think about it as the love for the gopis with Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan, it seems very distant, very unreachable. But Prabhupada told us repeatedly that if we just follow the 4 regulative principles and chant the Hare Krishna mantra with determination and with constant endeavor, this word that he uses elsewhere when he quotes this verse is he uses the word earnestness. That if we sincerely and earnestly make the attempt repeatedly, every day, without fail, to do these things, to follow the vows that Srila Prabhupada has asked us to follow, then automatically these qualities will manifest in us. So this is something we can do, right? It's tangible. We can do that. We can follow the 4 regulative principles. We can chant our rounds with earnestness. We may not be so successful in giving up all our material desires. We still may have material desires in our heart. We may not be so successful in controlling our mind all the time. Our senses may still wander here and there every now and again, right? Every now and again, our senses may wander somewhere. Or our mind may become attracted to the flickering happiness that we know is not happiness, but still it's a little attractive. It pulls us, and we think, yes, I want that thing. If I had that thing, then maybe life would be a little bit better. And so we're attracted to the glare. But still, in our heart of hearts, we know that there's no happiness in this material world. There's no satisfaction in this material world. And so we struggle. We struggle with our mind and senses, and we keep these instructions of Srila Prabhupada close to our hearts, and with determination and with earnestness, we carry them out. I want to read a little quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam that Srila Prabhupada is discussing this verse. And he says, even if a person is fully addicted to all sinful acts, if he happens to be engaged in the loving transcendental service of the Lord under proper guidance, he is to be considered the most perfect holy man, without a doubt. And thus, any person, whatsoever and whosoever he or she may be, even the fallen woman, the less intelligent laborer, the dull mercantile man, or even a man lower than all of these, can attain the highest perfection of life and go back home, back to Godhead, provided he or she takes shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord in all earnestness. This sincere earnestness is the only qualification that can lead one to the pious perfectional stage of life. So, if we take up the process of Krishna consciousness as Prabhupada had given us, then this vast ocean, or this vast dilemma, or the vast concept of pure devotional service becomes tangible. It becomes something that we can see in our own life, and we can do, and we can work on. And just by working on that, we evoke the mercy of Guru and Krishna. And really, pure devotional service is not attainable without that mercy of Guru Krishna. It's impossible. We cannot achieve pure devotional service by our own endeavor. So we can certainly endeavor, and we must certainly endeavor. We must try with all the effort that we can to follow all the instructions that Srila Prabhupada has given us. But really, it's the mercy of Krishna that helps us. The other day at class, maybe yesterday, it was said that the real system in religious circles, there's always this argument, monkey or cat. Monkey or cat. Monkeys, they hold on to the back of the mother, and the mother jumps all over the place. But the monkey holds on for dear life. So the understanding in that concept of spirituality is that it's the job of us to hold on to the rules and regulations and follow strictly, and that way we will achieve pure devotion, or the goal of spiritual life, the goal of religion, which is love of God. We'll get that by our hard work. And the cat philosophy is different, because the cat is held in the mouth of the kitten. The other way around. The cat holds the kitten in his mouth, and the kitten doesn't have to do anything. The cat takes him here and there, and the kitten is safe in the mouth of the mother. So the endeavor becomes that of God, that God's mercy is all we need. And if God's mercy is there, then we don't have to do anything. We can just pray to God for his mercy, charge it to our JC credit card, make confection, and then continue doing our nonsense. But ultimately, if we're devotees, or we say we're devotees, or we think we're devotees, then Krishna will take care of everything, or God will take care of everything. We don't have to do anything. It's only mercy. But we understand, as was described yesterday, that there's more to it than that. It's some symbiosis of those two things. It's that Krishna, or through the agency of the spiritual master and the devotees, sadhu, shastra, guru, he gives us the knowledge by which we can come to him. So he drops the rope down the well, and there we are in the bottom of the well. And what's our obligation? The rope is there. We have guru, we have sadhu, we have shastra, we have the instructions, we know what to do. But then our job, our hanging on part, that's the mercy part, and the hanging on part is that we have to do it. Our obligation is that we have to do it. And as much as possible, we have to endeavor clearing away the obstacles that are put before us. Understanding that those obstacles are not accidents. Very often, more often than not, Krishna places obstacles before his devotees to test them and to display their good qualities. I was thinking, reading this verse, and this verse is almost split in half, and Prabhupada uses it very often, half and half, in different places, to show these two things, that devotees have all good qualities and non-devotees have no good qualities. So if you look at half and half and you try and understand an example of this, I got the most logical example that came to my mind was Kamsa and Vasudeva. So you have Vasudeva, who's a pure devotee, and you have Kamsa, who's king. He's got all wealth, he looks very opulent. Someone would look at him and think, I want to be like him when I grow up. They wouldn't necessarily think of like someone like Kaurveja Sridhar and think, I'd like to be like him when I grow up, living in a grass hut, chanting Hare Krishna. But Kamsa, he had all the trappings of material well-being. But because he was a materialist, he had no good qualities. Even he appeared to have good qualities. When it came down to it, he had no good qualities, and we'll discuss that a little bit more in a few minutes. But Vasudeva, on the other hand, he was put in a very difficult situation. His wife was about to be killed, and then all his good qualities became manifest in that very, very trying situation. He was able to handle Kamsa, and he was able to speak wisely, and he was able to divert the situation. And even as we go on in the story, he was able to live in very difficult situations. He was able to remember Krishna at all times. He was able to be the well-wisher of even the worst people who wished him ill. He was able to be an instrument in the hands of the Supreme Lord to facilitate the Lord's appearance. So his devotional qualities were brought forth by that very difficult situation of being in a situation where he was on a very small place, in a chariot, no place to run, very small place. Couldn't make any changes in the situation, right? The situation was kind of fixed up. And he was very close to somebody who was with a sword at his wife's neck, holding her hair, ready to kill her. And he had to think fast on his feet what to do in this situation. And because he was able to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because he was a devotee, he was able to be successful in that very, very difficult situation. Whereas you have Kamsa, who appeared to have all power, all wealth, all good things in his life. When he was in a difficult situation, at the same time, he heard this voice. Oh, look at you, you're driving the chariot of your wife, your sister. And her kid, her 8th child, is going to kill you. And immediately lost it. And all his so-called qualities disappeared like vapor. Gone in a moment. And his true nature of Manoratha, the chariot of the mind, taking him on an adventure, became manifest immediately. And what was he thinking about? Me, mine. How can I succeed? How can I conquer? How can I destroy my enemy? How can I get more power, more wealth? And immediately propelled by those low class, as described in Bhagavad Gita, demoniac qualities, he was ready to kill an innocent person, his sister. So this Krishna sometimes puts us in difficult situations to help us get in touch with the qualities that we're looking for, to help us examine ourselves and see where we are in the process of devotional service. Prabhupada says in this verse, it says that one can judge one's advancement by these qualities. And so one's advancement is judged really when Krishna tests us. When Krishna tests us, then we get to see where we're really at, right? When Arjuna asked Krishna, how does a person walk? How does a person talk? How does a person sit? That person who is sthita pragya, who's advanced in spiritual life, how do you recognize this person? Krishna didn't give this list. He gave 3 qualities. He took it differently than Arjuna. Arjuna asked, how does he walk? And Krishna said he uses his faculties in service to God. He uses his faculties to serve Krishna. That's how he walks. He's active in service to Krishna. So we can all be active in service to Krishna. That's what Prabhupada wanted us to be, active in service to Krishna. In many places in where Prabhupada uses this verse, he says that devotional service is active. When he describes pure devotional service, anya bilasita sunyam jnana karmadya navritam anukulyena krishnanushilanam bhaktarutama, he makes the comment that Krishna consciousness is active. It's not just la-di-da, being nice and remembering Krishna all the time. That's all great, but using that in Krishna's service, being active and daring for Krishna, that's what Prabhupada was. And that's how he got the mercy. That's what gets us the mercy of Guru and Krishna. When we take risks for the spiritual master, when we stick our neck out and we go to places where no one goes and we do things which are difficult for us to do, whatever may be difficult for us to do. But we do that because we know it will help us to advance in devotional service and it will help others to come to Krishna consciousness. So we can be active. So how does he walk? He's active in Krishna consciousness. He does things, uses his legs, his arms, his body, his mind, his words. He uses them in Krishna's service. And how does he talk? Well, he doesn't retaliate when he's challenged, when he's called bad names, when people find fault with him. He doesn't curse those people. He doesn't retaliate with them in kind. He doesn't see them as his enemy. And he doesn't rejoice in praise either. He doesn't think, oh, someone finally got it. And they realize how wonderful I am. Thank you very much. You're my friend. He doesn't think like that. He thinks that everybody is helping him make advancement in devotional service, those who are criticizing. And those who are praising, maybe they're not so much helping. Maybe I don't want to hear that praise. But he's equal. He remains equipoised in those situations. He's not elated or depressed by praise or dualities. He called happiness and distress. He rises above dualities. And how does he sit? Well, he sits. Krishna uses the analogy of the tortoise, that the tortoise withdraws his senses within the shell. And when he doesn't want to use his senses are under his control. His senses don't drag him around. The Manoratena isn't driven by those horses. He always has control of those horses. The mind is under control by the intelligence, and the intelligence is under control by spiritual knowledge. And that's how he sits. When he's not active, he controls his mind and senses and remains fixed in Krishna consciousness. So these are the qualities. We can develop these qualities. They're very real. They're something we can aspire and gauge our spiritual advancement by, so that we can become encouraged and enthused to become dedicated to the service of God and make advancement, dedicated to Krishna's service and make real advancement devotional service. Because really, when we look at these qualities, we should never think we have them. You can't find one pure devotee who says, yes, I'm a pure devotee. I have all these qualities. You should see me. I'm so merciful. I'm always friendly. I'm really a poet. I'm very expert. No pure devotee is ever going to tell you that he has these qualities. If someone tells you he has these qualities, you should know immediately there's a problem there. Because no devotee will tell you he has that. We can see maybe that he has these qualities, and maybe we can't see. Maybe we're not able to see. Prabhupada got angry. Someone was, he was on a stage at a pandal, and some people were starting to grab, the Matajis were dancing on the stage, the women were dancing, and some men were pulling, trying to grab their saris and their feet. And Prabhupada took kartals and started swinging them like a martial artist, right? He was very angry. So some people at the end were saying, oh, he's pure devotee, he shouldn't become angry. But you see devotees are being hurt, there's some dangerous situation, then become angry, right? Become angry. But Krishna became angry when Hiranyakashipu was harassing the devotees. So these qualities may not look the way we think they look, because our ability to see them is tinged by our material experiences. So we have reference points which are not actually accurate. And if we go to the last part of the verse, that people who don't practice devotional service, they have no good qualities, and we look at Kamsa as an example, we can see that sometimes immediately the mind says, wait a minute. Sometimes we even say, wait a minute, I know people who are nicer than devotees. I know some devotees who are pretty nasty people, you know, they're not very nice. But I know non-devotees that are very nice, and they're very clean, right? They're very clean. Look at America, it's much cleaner than Vrindavan. So what's going on? It appears that the people are cleaner. It's a fact, isn't it? It's hard to accept, but it's the truth. So they're cleaner, but or maybe they're nice to, maybe they're feeding people, maybe they're opening hospitals, maybe they're doing so many materially wonderful things, and you say they have no good qualities because they're not chanting Hare Krishna, they're not devotees. That seems very narrow-minded. So how is it that this verse can speak like that? How the Bhagavatam can say they have no good qualities? Well, because they're on the Manaratena, because they're on the chariot of the mind, and at any moment they can be pulled somewhere else. And their ultimate goals, their motivations, are not to achieve the service of God, not to render pure devotional service, not to help the living entity who is also a servant of God in his ultimate quest for pure devotional service, but rather to get some kind of materialistic gratification, either money or wealth or fame. Yesterday, Gita Nagari Prabhu was talking about the bitter pill of being celibate. But one thing he neglected to say is that the bitter pill of no illicit sex includes 3 little things that have nothing to do with the contact between man and woman. They're the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction. And Prabhupada calls those things subtle sex life. So maybe the bitter pill of being a celibate is bitter, but how much more bitter is the giving up these things, the desire for profit, adoration, and distinction, which so much drive us in even very subtle ways and sometimes very gross ways. And it's these things, this desire for profit, adoration, and distinction, as well as the desire for money, the desire for power, the desire for beautiful persons of the opposite gender adoringly staring at us and thinking we're the center of the universe, or at least being willing, as a result of that thought, to satisfy our senses. So they put us in a situation where we're motivated by those misconceptions, and therefore all good qualities that we may manifest, they're not deep. They're not deep, they're just superficial, and they're subject to change without notice. One person like Kamsa, 1 minute very nice, oh my dear sister, you're getting married, let me drive your chariot. I'm so happy that you're getting married. And the next minute, by the hair with a sword at the throat. And this is the nature we see, right? I was reading the other day how Prabhupada, he used this verse in a letter to 6 of my godbrothers. And the reason he wrote this verse in the letter was because they had lost $6,000 in an attempt to purchase some property in New York, and they had been cheated. They had been cheated. And they had made some effort to get the money back, but ultimately the money was lost. And so Prabhupada wrote them this verse, and he said, you were fooled, because that man, he had a nice tie on, and he had a nice suit, and he was talking to you very nicely, and he appeared to be very knowledgeable, and but he was a cheater. He was a liar. And you became enamored because you thought that a materialistic person was really trying to be nice to me, was trying to be nice to us, was trying to give us something that was worth a whole lot of money, and he was giving it to us for nothing. For you, I make no profit. But in some cases, or most cases, behind that veneer there lies a very envious, very hateful, very, anxious for profit, adoration, and distinction person. So we have to be very careful. You have to watch your back. In the material world, you're taught to, don't trust anybody. We see in this world now, the level of trust is extremely low. No one trusts anybody. No one trusts the food they eat, the water they drink, the air they breathe, the politicians are all untrustworthy. No one can trust anybody. I answer letters for Krishna.com, and someone wrote me a letter saying, it seems like Yudhisthira, when he was doing the Rajasuya sacrifice, that he was no better than the Crusades, the Christian Crusades. So could you explain to me what's the difference? What's the difference? But the difference is in these qualities, that a good ruler, he has the welfare of his people at heart. And a bad ruler, he just wants power. He just wants prestige. He just wants money. And he'll kill for it. He'll kill for it. And so we see in love, lust, that a man and a woman, they get together, they think, darling, I love you. I'll give you my life till death do us part. But sometimes death is right around the corner. If there's another lover comes into the picture, then they'll kill each other, or one will kill the other. So many different things. There's stories about it, right? Romeo and Juliet. There's songs about it. We always sing about, how I lost my baby and I'm miserable now. I want the doors painted black. Because everything is these dualities. And these dualities cause non-devotees to not have any deep, good qualities. Scratch the surface, and you get profit, adoration, and distinction. You get all the demoniac qualities that are there. So this verse was used by Prabhupada again and again to show us that we should take heart that by practicing the process of pure devotional service, we will make good advancement, and the qualities that we admire will become automatically manifest because they're Krishna's qualities. And because we're parts of Krishna, they are our qualities. In small, small part, but they're our qualities. And if we take up the process with earnestness, as Prabhupada says, then all these good qualities will manifest. So I'm going to stop here. And if there's any questions, I'll try to answer. I think I have 6 minutes, right? 9 o'clock is class supposed to end? Or did I already go over? Or what's the problem? I already went over. Yeah, what to do. It's okay. Okay, so if anyone has a question, yeah. I thought it was 8 to 9.
I thought it was very valuable that you made that point when you dwelled on it, that there's no good quality. So we can almost translate good as being deep into the core. So many things are superficial, plated, veneers. And the quality is not integral, it doesn't go all the way through. So now when I feel like I'm a little better equipped to deal with this issue, I understand it better.
Thank you.
So that when someone makes this point, you say that about everybody like that, just know everybody. How can the Shastras say that? Because apparently they have so many good qualities, but it's just very superficial, very thin. I want to thank you for that.
Thank you. At the end of this this purport, Prabhupada asked, Krishna, Sukadeva Goswami asked the question, how could there be good qualities in such a man? As Prahlad Maharaj praying to Nrsingadev, but Sukadeva Goswami is speaking it to Maharaj Pariksit. How can there be any good qualities in such a man? So, because how can you trust such a man? You may superficially trust him, but then he turns around and we get so hurt by it, isn't it? So much of our hurt in the material world comes because we put trust in somebody and then we get hurt. We get stabbed in the back, as they say, right? So that's because those qualities are very shallow. And we see them and we accept them because we want to. We want to, because we have these qualities naturally, they're inherent in us, because naturally we want to be able to trust people. We want to be able to associate with people who have these qualities deeply. So we very innocently put our trust in people, and then they show us that our trust was misplaced. It's very painful, very painful. Any other? Yes, Maharaj? I feel very unqualified to speak in your presence. I'm sorry. Hare Krishna.
As far as I understand, reading also other parts, maybe the key word that determines why somebody is not considered to have good qualities is abhaktas. He's not a devotee. Because good and bad, that's relative. You might find something good which is actually bad, or vice versa. So, according to my understanding, like as you said, becoming angry. Well, it's supposed to be a bad quality, right? But if it's connected with Krishna, then it becomes a good quality. And something that's supposed to be a wonderful quality in the material world, if it's detached from Krishna and it's for our own personal, whatever, gratification or aggrandizement, then it becomes a bad quality. So amongst the 26, there's one, that's the Swarup Lakshana, the intrinsic, that's the one quality that makes all the other qualities really qualities.
Actually, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati made a very beautiful analogy. He said that all the other qualities make a throne, and that quality of devotion to Krishna sits on that throne. So it's such a beautiful visual that all these qualities come together and they create a throne on which the quality of pure devotional service sits.
They're considered like ornaments. So this being surrendered to Krishna, that's the one that makes all these other really great qualities. Otherwise, they become bad. Well, they may become bad, at least they're not really good.
Or they're subject to change without notice, right? Depending on the way the wind blows, what may be good today may be bad today. It was good for me to have you as a tenant today, but now I need it for something else, and I'll throw you out. My determination is like the wind.
And therefore, even somebody may have externally what is considered a bad quality, but if he's really surrendered at heart, then he's inside, which is also not so easy to understand.
Which is also very important to understand, and especially in light of the conversations that we've had in here over the last few days, that we should understand that Prabhupada, at one point, someone asked Srila Prabhupada how many pure devotees are in ISKCON. Prabhupada turned to one devotee and said, how many devotees are in ISKCON? How many devotees do we have? And that devotee gave him a number, and he said, that number. That's how many pure devotees we have. So Prabhupada saw the effort, the determination to keep serving Krishna as an indication of pure devotional service. And he, I just want to, there's a verse in the 11th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which it says, having awakened faith in the narrations of my glories, being disgusted with all material activities, knowing that all sense gratification leads to misery, but still being unable to renounce all sense enjoyment, my devotee should remain happy and worship me with faith and conviction. Even though he is sometimes engaged in sense enjoyment, my devotee knows that all sense gratification leads to a miserable result, and he sincerely repents. So here's Krishna speaking, and he's saying that he's describing what I feel, that I'm trying to be a devotee, I want to be devoted, I want to serve Krishna, that's my heart's desire. And I know material life is miserable. Just ask me, I'll tell you, right? Material life is miserable. How many in here think material life is miserable? Right? Everybody raises their hand. No one, but really, I can't stop going for it anyway. Even though I know it's miserable, I'm still running after it like an idiot. What's wrong with me? Huh? What's wrong with me that even though I know material life is miserable, I'm still going after it? So it's a relief to know that the Bhagavatam itself, Krishna recognizes that there are people like me that walk the earth, that they're so foolish that even though they know material life is miserable, and even though they know they want to be devotees, and even for 50 years they've been chanting Hare Krishna and following the principles and doing whatever they're supposed, still someone offers some little material thing and gone is the mind. So, and Krishna is merciful, and he says, don't lose heart, don't become discouraged, still go on with the process, go on with the process, go on with the process, and I'll help you. I'll help you. I'll help you achieve pure devotional service. He's so kind.
In the next verse it says, if you go on like that, then you will take all the help will be sure.
Yeah, right. Everything will be purified. There's hope, yes. Hope against hope. So I think I should end. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Glories to Srila Prabhupada.